name is Carla from Walsum, and today we have another episode of Gold Dust Girls, and we have a very special guest. Her name is on Instagram Native Judean, and personally we call her Bela. Bela,
Hello.
thank you so much for coming here. I'm so happy to see you, and I'm very proud of you as a young person, what you do to help Israel, to support Israel, and to support the Jewish people, and to explain things that a lot of people don't know. Because of the native part, right? That's like a surprise for many, unfortunately, because the anti-propaganda is so much bigger than we are not the best propaganda makers. So we try to change that a little bit. It's one of the reasons of this channel and your work. And we met on Instagram because I stumbled upon your post and I started to follow you. And here you are. Yeah, so
Hello.
welcome again. And let me ask you the first question. And the first question is, why are you trying to bring back ancient Jewish culture, our culture, and reclaim culture that was stolen from us? Because you had a special name, Native Judean, right? So,
Yes.
what is your vision about our history?
So, as we know with Judaism, it's all land-based,
Mm-hmm.
and the culture that we had in ancient times and the things that were appropriated us are very land-based and from this land. And I feel like it's my job to bring it back and help other people bring it back to have more of a connection to our land. I know that a lot of the things that were stolen from us, especially by the Arab settlers, it was Canaanite culture that eventually evolved into Jewish culture when we split from them. And so they take our culture like the Simlat Rikma and Rikma, and they're like, oh, it's Canaanite, and we have it. So that means that we're the indigenous people to the land, not the Jews, not the Samaritans. And so I feel like they stole it to kind of erase like our connection to the land and
Yeah,
that it was even ours in the first place.
yeah. And they still do by grinding evidence and all that, specifically in Judea and Samaria. Yeah. Oh, that's a lot. You know, when you were talking, it popped in my head that now in Gaza, with the issues that are going on, that most of the people there have last names that refer back to Egypt. Nothing to, oh, we are here for centuries. And what I know, and maybe that's not correct, but what I know is the following: that during the British mandate, the mandate of Palestine, right? When the British people were there, and that were colonizers in a way, a lot of Arabs came in to find work, to get jobs and get work. So simultaneously, when the Jews came bit by bit back, then the Arabs did the same thing. So they entered too, although there were always Jews living in the land of Israel. And that is the native part of it. Yeah. And I'm from the Netherlands, and I never heard about that in this way. I, of course, know the history, but to call it indeed like native, that we are native to the land, that's a beautiful phrase. And that claims a right. It's not the right like, oh, it's in the Bible, but the Bible or the Torah is a history book. It's not only
Yeah.
religion, it's a history book. The graves are there, the whole things are there. So the problem is a lot of people see it as a religious thing, so we don't take it seriously. Religion and science are not the best friends. So that is really like terrible. Well, you wear a beautiful dress. I would love you to explain a little bit more about what it is and what it shows. So go ahead.
So basically, the stress in ancient times, women would sit together and it was like a communal thing. They would embroider dresses and they would pick out like things around them and they would turn them into motifs.
Mhm.
So sometimes it was where they grew up or things about them, like they like the water or they like, let's say, like mountain goats or something, and they would put it on their dresses. And I know girls would usually make their first dress up until their wedding. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, they would make it for themselves or
Oh,
they would
yeah.
make it for their children. It's very like land, it's like a very connective piece to the lands. Like this has a bunch of flowers. So it's a very
Wonderful. Yes, show
nature.
me your sleeves. Yeah.
Yeah, the sleeves have a bunch of flowers and branches and stars.
Did you say this was from Jerusalem?
Yeah, so this is more of a Jerusalem embroidery. Usually it's more of these kinds of patterns rather than the cross stitch, even though it does have some down there.
Yeah. And from how long ago is this pattern? When is that? For what time is this coming from?
Um, we don't have too much information on it as people are trying to erase the history of it and destroy it. Um, I know the original patterns, which were more like geometric patterns, they were from thousands of years ago, like with the Canaanites and the early Hebrews. And then they eventually turned into this. We still need to find exactly when they turned into more of like motifs.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting. This entire dress, like a cover up, right? So colorful.
Yeah.
Wow. Can people buy this today? How do you find it? Because you found it so.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you usually have to go to like the shouks in Jerusalem, or you have to find someone that had it in their family and maybe they don't fit it or it's not their size. I know some people, like my one friend who helped me find a lot of information on Rikma.
Mm-hmm.
She's no longer on Instagram, but her grandmother gave her a Rikma, Simlat Rikma. It was a black dress and it had a few flowers embroidered on it, and she's had that in her family. I know I've seen, I actually recently just posted a picture of this girl's, like of a picture of this girl's that, oh my gosh, sorry, this picture that a girl had of her family members, and they were in these kinds of dresses.
Wow,
And
it's amazing. That is so nice. And you also have a sudra. This is a rikma, right? Another
this isn't Rikma, this is
no,
just
your dress is called rikma or rikda. What is it?
Simlat Rikma. Simlat is dress and
Yes.
Rikma is embroidery. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, similar rikma. That's beautiful. Because it's important to know. Yeah, the sudra. Is that the sudra? The other one?
Yeah, has the Stars of David on it.
Yeah, I see. I
And then I
see.
think it has some writing. If I can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sure
Wonderful.
I got this from Rudy Rockman.
Yeah, the friend of us. Yeah, I know him well. So that is amazing. Yeah, he's busy with that a lot. Do you wear this on the street now today? Probably not, huh?
I did actually wear this to school before.
Before October 7th.
It was after October 7th that I started.
Really? And
I
how did
wanted to
people
wear.
respond? They thought something else? How did it go?
Um, they knew it wasn't like a kafia, but I did get some like looks. Um, I did go to a community college, so I
Hmm.
was walking through there with this, and I would get a lot of looks, but I
They
wasn't really,
probably thought you're a Palestinian, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
wasn't really bothered by it though, but I just wanted to show my support for Israel and for the hostages, and
wonderful. Yeah, say that indeed. Wow, that's so nice. And do you know where people can buy sutras, or there's a website that you can go there on Instagram, I think, right? Is
I
Rudy?
know Rudy Rockman sells them. That Semite sells them. Um, there's a
Yeah.
few other places that I can't think of on the top of my head.
No, I still want to buy. I never did, but now we bring it. You bring it with you, and like, oh yeah, I wanted that too.
Yeah, I probably need to get a new one because some of the stitching's coming out.
Okay. Yeah.
I've had
Wonderful.
it for a while.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear it so much now because there's so much tension everywhere, and although I wear my magenta feet, it's like whatever, and then
Yeah,
like this, and then if it's to get dangerous, I do like this.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So you have also some ideas about how to create peace, or what do you think about the peace that you see in the Middle East? Um, what are your ideas about it? You wanted to talk about it and would love to hear what you have to say.
Well, first, obviously, Hamas needs to be completely eliminated. They are an obstacle to peace. We also need to, for there to be peace in the whole region, we need to eliminate all of Iran's proxies like Hezbollah, the Houthis, ISIS, Al Qaeda, all those people. But just in Israel, I think it's the Arab settlers need to acknowledge that this is not their land. This is indigenous land. This is Jewish and Samaritan land. The Arab settlers in the West Bank need to recognize that it is Judean Samaria. They also need to recognize tribal territories and where our people were. And also, I think there needs to be a lot of reparations, especially to the families of like the hostages that have gone through so much, people who have lost their children or children that have lost their parents or grandparents. Um, and people might say, like, I've talked about this to like some Arabs before, and they were like, but Gazans don't have any money. Like, how are they going to pay you reparations? I'm like, have you seen Hamas? They have billions of dollars. Like, give half of it to, the Arabs that want to live peacefully and give half of the rest of it to, as reparations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Qatar has a lot. A lot of Palestinians are outside. I honestly lost my total trust in the two-state solution. I have followed it over the years a lot. And because the perspective that you offer is a great perspective, we could maybe add the education of the children, because if children hear 20 years that the best thing is to become a martyr and to kill Jews, we cannot live next to each other in that way. And so the whole peace idea, and there's another problem, what I learned about Waqf, that is like a Sharia law, that if Muslims conquer a land, take a land in or conquer it, they are not allowed to give it back. It is Sharia law to keep it. And you agree or you disagree with that?
I disagree. I feel like they need to give it back. They've colonized the
Of
entire small region.
course, I want that too, but that is their vision. And that is in the Quran. It is in the additional books. And I can give you the place where it is. I don't have that here, but I can give you that if you're interested in that. But the Waqf, that is the law that you do not give it back. So in one way, I look at the problems that the obstacles are, we don't want to give the land back. And the others, and they believe different things. They believe, I had lately somebody on Facebook attacking me, and he said, well, it's so nice. The Palestinians gave refugee to the European Jews that they could
Yeah,
say.
they always say that we should be thankful.
And
It's like, thank
the
you
thing is
for
the
the
other way around. They
colonization.
closed the border. The British closed the border because the Arabs didn't want any Jew to come in. So if they would be more compassionate, we would have saved many more European Jews. So the whole history is so like twisted and terrible. But coming back to the land, that looks like the fight. I think the fight is honestly, we don't want Jews next door. We don't want that damned state. We don't want Jews. We just don't want them. What do you think about that?
Like the Arabs not wanting to live next to Jews.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like if Arabs are willing to have peace, they can stay and live here. But the ones that don't want Jews here, don't want to live next to Jews, then it's not your land. You can go. You can go live wherever you want. Like, you
But
aren't.
they don't do that. Huh? That would be a great
Yeah,
solution for
I
Gaza.
think that we need to leave. It's like that it's our land. Why should we leave when you invaded us in the 7th century?
So what I just heard before this meeting, what I read is that Meta from Facebook and Instagram, they have a slogan from the river to the sea. They endorse it. So from the river to the sea means literally Jews out, totally. And now Meta is making a statement with that. What would you say to Meta if you could talk to them?
I just don't understand how they don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like from there to sea, like that doesn't sound peaceful. You're taking the entirety of Israel, and where do we go? We go into the sea. They told us that, especially their Arabic version, water to water, Palestine is Arab. It's,
Very, very, very good answer. And I think your first sentence said it in a way. A lot of people echo the sentence and don't know what it means because
exactly.
they hear stolen land. Nothing has been stolen. For me, it's so simple from, if you look at the history, but you know yourself, of course, too, most of the land, original land, has been bought back from Arabs too, or it was still in Jewish hands. And the additional land, like Gaza, or like the Golan, or like Judea and Samaria too, came because Israel was attacked. And as a miracle, they won. So you gain land. So if you don't want to lose land, don't start a war. Looks to me so logic, but that logic is not in the heads of many, many other people. So how do you see it for the future? What are you afraid of the future? Are you pessimistic, optimistic? How is it? You are young and you have an
Yeah.
optimistic young mind that fits to your age, right? How
Yeah.
do you look at the future?
Well, I hope in my lifetime I can see a completely free Israel, a free Judea and Samaria. I do get worried a bit, even though I know that Israel is capable of protecting the land. It still scares me, especially October 7th. Like, I never thought that that thing could happen where, they would invade us. And I'm worried about Iran because Iran has nuclear weapons. They could always just blow us off the map. They could be like, you know, and it would affect Palestinians too. They would have to just be like, you know what? No one gets it.
Yeah.
So that scares me a bit, but I know the IDF is strong. I know Israel's strong, and I know that we'll prevail.
Yeah, but they have so many losses too, and they have other internal problems, and the emotions are so strong because it was not only an invasion, October 7, but the cruelty and the level of the cruelty. I have watched most of the videos and it's incomprehensible. It changed me, as many people have that feeling. But to see the readiness for cruelty to even a baby or babies, I mean, I don't want to repeat too much about that. If you see that as a great thing, I mean, there is so much brainwashing that needs to happen that people will change that. I am not so optimistic, not anymore at all. And I find it very difficult that Israel is pretty alone. America is not. If I see the new the new people that are drawn to Harris that she's choosing, a lot of them are very pro-Palestinian, are not really pro-Jewish at all. And yeah, Israel is strong, but also small and very small. And I find it so ridiculous that if you look at the map, you have so much land, all in Arabic hands, and a little Israel. And that little piece is still not what people want us to have.
Yeah.
And your generation is worse than my generation in between because of the way how people spoke. When in 1967, I'm from the Netherlands, right? In 1967, after the Six-Day War, a lot of Dutch people were dancing in the street. Of course, they had feelings of guilt and they started to realize how many Jews were murdered. So there was support. 1973, Yom Kippur War, well, we had to turn down the electricity, no, the heat, for the oil crisis. So people were having it cold, so they started to be less supportive. Then we had like the 80s, in the war in the 80s in Lebanon, they felt sorry for Lebanese people. They didn't know much about it, so okay. Then you had the Intifada. Well, yeah. But you know what? Then it started, the propaganda was starting to grow. Since 30 years, we had a lot of Muslim immigrants from Middle Eastern countries to the Netherlands, and the Holocaust was not possible to teach about the Holocaust anymore. That's already 35 years because the upheaval of out of fear of the upheaval of students. And one of the reasons that we moved to America. But it's going on and on and on. And young generation, you will have a hard time. I mean, I'm happy that you're not in such a college I said to one of my kids today, if you now had to go to college, you would go to Harvard or whatever, I think I wouldn't let you go. I think you can say that is, I'm not living in fear, but it's also realistic. I heard just from two students wearing a kippah that they were hit with a ball, glass bottles. One is like with serious wounds in the hospital. You cannot defend yourself like that. What do you think? Do you feel fearful with other people? Because I don't know, how is your environment? How do you feel if you go out, what you do? Are you aware of it?
I mean, like around my area, a lot of people are pro-Israel, which is, very good. I never had like a professor that was like
Wow.
anti-Israel. I never had classmates that were anti-Israel. I mean, at my college, there were like a few people that were pro-Palestine, but it was a very tiny group, like maybe like
Wow.
people, which was, pretty good because I never had to deal with any of that. But there was a protest near my house for
Mhm.
Palestine, but it was only like 6 people, like 4 or 6 people. And then there was an Israel counter protest on the other side of the street, and there was like 8 to 10 people.
That's almost,
They're
yeah. That's
outnumbered.
serious.
Yeah.
Wow. That is such a different story than what I hear from most people and what you see in the news. So that gives a good feeling.
Yeah. I
That's
feel
nice.
a lot safer here.
Yeah, that is nice. But if you go out, if you go to public places, are you aware or you take a train or I don't know how you travel there?
Um, Like I still know that I'm like Jewish and different, and I am still pretty fearful because there is like 1 or 2 people that are like pro-Palestine. They show it. Like I was at the mall before, and there was this one guy with a Palestine stole, I think what they're called,
Mhm.
and we like made eye contact, and I think I either had my Israel necklace or this necklace with my name on it, and I was just like, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
away from that. I don't want any problems.
Yeah.
Um,
You can always put your necklace away like this.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like very fearful at such moments, or how do you deal with that? What do you do to maintain your composition, or how do you say that? How do you feel good? Maintain your good mood? How do you do that?
I kind of just remember how like a lot of people around here are pro-Israel and they support us. So I kind of just think of that. And I know there's going to be like 1 or 2 people that are pro-Palestine, but I think there's just so many pro-Israel people around here that they don't try anything. Even when they did try that protest, it wasn't successful.
Is it really amazing? I'm so happy to hear
Yeah.
that.
Usually there's like hundreds of people or thousands of people and then like a few pro-Israel like supporters, but it was the
Yeah,
opposite.
yeah, you see the most horrible things. Yeah, and they found a solution in London for the aggression to have a separate segregation bus for Jews.
Yeah,
So
I
they
just saw that.
transfer Jews now in a separate bus. I mean, you could also think like, hey, stop the violence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I said in a post, I was like, oh, this is totally about keeping Jews safe, not separating us from the rest of society.
yeah, sarcasm. Yeah, it's just crazy. And that is also a great target. If you know that's a bus solely with Jews, okay, I have
Yeah,
something
like
nice to
that's
talk.
on this bus.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah, the European laws are not sufficient to handle this, but the American, I don't know, their laws are also a bit at stake with this. I just don't understand it. Yeah, this is what we need to live with. And I think education, what you do, is great that you put so much awareness because there are many young Jews that don't barely know anything about Judaism, barely about Israel, or they got only the negative stuff. And then it's very hard to say, okay, what is still positive about being Jewish, if the world hates you and wants you to die? I mean, you have to be really develop the strength in yourself to everybody wants to be liked and loved. That's a human thing. And we deal with suddenly so yeah, a lot of people hate you just because, you know, say the word Zionist. I was in Israel in May. We were, my kids and I, and I went to the Siba hospital, and there were kids. There were two girls from college in from Canada that took off like a leap year or so, and they prepared food every day for people that were in rehabilitation there. So it was a beautiful experience, and they wear a pink shirt with "I'm a Zionist," and I was like, I'm going to order that shirt too. Yeah, and it's in Israel. And then I wanted to wear it here, and my kids are, don't do that, mom. And I think people, even one of my dear Jewish friends, didn't know exactly what Zionism was. So there is so much like, yeah, you know, it is terrible that you will get at a certain moment an identity because of the persecution, right? Which is, of course, that happened with the Holocaust, that made that awareness, and you only met a lot of people, a lot of Jews too. And now again, it's like, okay, do I want to identify or not? And you know, if you identify, you have 90% of your friends are not Jewish, and they are looking at this and they're agreeing with the other story, it's very hard. And you don't notice that either, right? You really have in your environment. Have you been getting a lot of hate speech on your Instagram account?
Oh my God, yeah. Even when I didn't have my activist account, I had my personal account, people would send me like death threats in my DMs. Somebody like detailed exactly how they would kidnap me, rape me, and kill me, like in specific detail. And a lot of people would say, like, I want to come to America just to kill you and your family. Or they would be like, I'm going to slaughter you like a pig. They were calling me pig and like kike. And um, a lot of
Oh,
people, like, now have been using like sand N word towards us, which was very weird. And that was like maybe like 3 years ago I got that. Or like Arabs would call me slave, and like my only culture is being a slave, and horrible things like that.
wow. Wow. Only because you called yourself native Judean, or what did you call yourself
that
before?
was that was before my activist account. That was just my regular profile. Like I didn't even say really anything about being Jewish, but they like knew. Or maybe I liked a few like Jewish posts or something, or I commented, or some people like write in my comments, like in my photos, they'd be like nose. They would just have the nose emoji, and I would like delete all of them, like all the negative comments.
Isn't it shocking how many haters there are on the planet and how many terrible people? And then you with the message of that you think about peace, and we need to continue doing that otherwise, and we need to fight the evil. I'm a firm believer of that, because you can only think about peace, that's great. But you know, if you don't find the evil, you know what happens with then we have the example of the Shoah, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like so disappointed in humankind, because I thought really I was raised like need to make the world a better place. Well, I do my work with the healing work I do, or the relationship work, or the trauma work, and it's not enough. It's people. A lot of people like to believe the lies, don't do their own research, follow the crowd, and the same thing. It is. And there's another thing, and I don't want to make you more fearful, but it's kind of a realistic thing what I realized too, and you probably too, that Hitler got done what he did with his propaganda. And I think the propaganda today is much stronger, bigger, spread well, and it is humongous, you know? Also the misinformation, what is called the misinformation about Zionism. So wow, you got all those comments and you deleted them. That's horrible. And then you became, yeah, and this is also why you wear your glasses, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I want you to have safety, yeah. And we got it here too on our channel here and there, but like whatever. But yeah, yeah, this is a given, you know, and we can, I think with our strength and with our, we need to defend the peace. We cannot be la 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 la. You have seen how that went with the kibbutzim, that were the strongest peace activists in Israel. and they were tortured like I don't know what. And after having 30 years of relationship with Palestinians from Gaza and driving them, their kids, to Israeli hospitals back and forth. One of the men that did that he's now in his 80s, I think he's still captured. Or he was maybe one of the second to the last that died. It's that's unbelievable. You do good and you do not always good. Sorry, that was Dutch. You do good and you do not always meet good. So that is very shocking, for people that their whole life was dedicated to create a peace, and this is how it ends.
Yeah.
That's bizarre, traumatic. Yeah. Well, we need to continue. We need to continue with being strong and doing all this and teach the message. Now you have another question. What message do you have for the Jewish community? I like that you come with your questions are great, so that's why I read them literally. So what message do you have for the Jewish community?
I know of like two quotes that people have said, like, no matter, or what was it? It was love yourself and your Jewishness 100 times more than people hate you for it. And also Golda Meir's, I'd rather be, or something along the lines of, I'd rather be alive and hated than dead and pitied.
Wow.
Yeah. And, the whole thing with like the bandwagon, there's like a lot of anti-Zionist Jews out there that think that being anti-Zionist will save them. And there's also another quote, a Zionist Jew and an anti-Zionist Jew walk into a bar, and what does the bartender say? We don't serve Jews, and they're both Jews. Doesn't matter that one's anti-Zionist, one's Zionist. They're both not served.
That's such a good one. That's such a good one. Yeah. Yeah, you live really a Jewish life. And you have a very strong identity, very aligned. Are you going to shul, to the synagogue as well? Or are you
I do sometimes for Purim. I've gone like the last like three times maybe.
So you're active in the Jewish community in a way too. Yeah.
A little.
Or yeah, you do your online thing and you're daily on it, right? You produce something daily, I think. Yeah. I will put the links underneath and people can follow you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. We need to help each other. That is so important. And yeah, and it is unfortunately on the shoulders of the younger people, for sure. I think the elderly, any age can do something. Some people just don't know and don't want to or don't feel like, maybe they're so like paralyzed. You need to face that. You said beautiful quotes. I would like to put them too in the underneath there. So maybe you can maybe send them to me. The first things it's good because we need to, from the strengths and the resilience, right? And yeah, we have it in our genes that we are persecuted. So then you get the fear response in the trauma, which you need to fight,
Yeah. I did want to say another thing for the Jewish community and future generations. Like, we have been a people for so long, we've been persecuted for so long, and even though that happens, we will outlive everyone that tries to hurt us, everyone that tries to destroy us or kill us will live on.
That is a wonderful message of strength. Fantastic. Thank you for that.
You're
Are
welcome.
you thinking about moving to Israel one day, actually?
I want to so bad. I wanted to go with my parents, but they don't want to go. They're scared. I want to go with like my significant other. And
Wonderful. I see you there because I want to go too.
I did actually go 3 months ago on Birthright.
Oh, how was that?
It was really nice. I want to go back so bad. I think about it like every day.
Yeah. Well, that opens to me another little theme that it's not, we wanted to close it with something nice. This is not nice, but since you bring this up, I wanted to bring that to your attention, but maybe you know already because you know so much. there's a girl on TikTok that went on birthright, and she started a movement against it. And she says, I'm brainwashed, I'm this, I'm that. It is horrific what she does. And she has a lot. If you want to know her information, or if you feel like I can give you that name. And I think it is, it's really disgusting. And I think you get a free vacation, you get a free trip. Thank you very much. Somebody pays for that. All what you can do is trashing it afterwards because you want to be liked and loved. And she's a psychologist. She's in her PhD program. And I'm like, and I was going against that. I made several comments. I got on TikTok. I just deleted. I even don't read it. It's horrific. And another thing is the people that watch this, that request comes often from Israelis as well, and you know that, to support them in fighting. Because if you don't respond, if you don't do nothing, they win. I'm convinced about that. And we have the lessons of the past, you know. We have the lessons of the past. If you read about how pogroms were done, who was watching and turned their back or a blind eye, same like with the Holocaust. No, never again is never again. Never, ever again. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
I saw people saying like never again for anyone, and they're trying to like co-opt it. Or this morning I actually saw someone on TikTok, they supported Palestine, they said M Palestine hi. And I'm like, what? Or they have the ribbon, but it's in like the Palestine flag. I'm like, you are stealing our things, and they always accuse us of stealing from them. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But your words are powerful, and I think you're very well expressing yourself. You have a lot to offer, so please continue with your great work. Get even bigger, and you need to. And there's something else I want to say. Oh my gosh, what was that? Yeah, that's what you need to do, and protect yourself from the negativity because it's so unhealthy. It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
Is
for
there
having
anything
me.
you would like to add? Because we keep on continuing.
Yeah.
You feel like saying still?
M Yizrachai.
Am Yisrachai. That's the best message. Thank you so very much. Take care. All the
Thank
best.
you.